All right. Hi again, everyone. If you're just joining us, I'm Tom Comboy. I'm a program manager here on the Newlab team. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce this next team to you all. They're called ElectricFish. They are a company revolutionizing fast electric vehicle charging and urban resiliency. ElectricFish applied for the Resilient Energy Studio when we had an open call back in 2022. It's a collaborative effort between Newlab, the New York City Economic Development Corporation, and Con Edison that sought to de-risk energy storage in urban environments via deploying distributed energy resources, energy storage systems throughout the 5 boroughs. ElectricFish approached Newlab at an early stage in their growth, successfully navigated a pilot deployment of their energy storage-enabled DC fast charging system at Floyd Bennett Field in South Brooklyn, which they'll share more about, of course, and has come so far as a company on their growth trajectory since that application submission in 2022. So Vince, Anurag, and the entire ElectricFish team were nimble and effective team players. They were able to deftly navigate many twists and turns and hurdles that we faced along the way on the path to deploying energy storage in New York City, which is a pretty difficult and thorny process. So major kudos to their tenacity. In this pilot, Newlab played the role of connector and facilitator, keeping the multi-stakeholder coalition behind ElectricFish's efforts, working in sync to approve and implement the charger, and getting us to a deployment and ribbon-cutting moment. So I'll stop there and let the team tell you themselves what incredible impacts they've been able to achieve as a result. So please welcome to the stage Anurag Kamal, co-founder and CEO, and Vince Wong, co-founder and COO at ElectricFish.
Thanks, Tom. ElectricFish is an early-stage tech company that's addressing the climate crisis at both the intersection of climate mitigation as well as adaptation. What is really common in the industry is you see one solution that's able to do either mitigation or adaptation. But it's very rare that you have in one singular solution the ability to properly address both. Given the urgency of the climate crisis and really the scope of what we're presented against, we felt it was very important to do so from the very start. And so we designed our system to address the massive opportunity that transportation emissions still present. And so electrification remains one of the key ways and pathways to actually help draw down our transportation emissions. But what happens when you deploy all this electric infrastructure? When we see the rising incidence and severity of climate-induced disasters like hurricanes and wildfires, blizzards, pick your poison. We decided to address climate change in the context of disrupting the grid infrastructure that is also needed to electrify everything. And so we're a team of 12, but really started with 4 co-founders from 4 nations with the big global vision of working to tackle these incredibly complex issues. And so we devised back in San Francisco in 2019, just over 4.5 years ago, this idea of a hybrid microgrid device that is able to unblock and overcome some of the very real physical challenges of infrastructure. When you are trying to deploy DC fast charging, which is really able to provide fast charging speeds, you're confronted with the issues of permitting and grid infrastructure reliability and interoperability. A lot of sites need a lot of power. And so your utility, in this case Con Edison, would need to come in, perform a very extensive study to even determine whether that technology should be provisioned. At the end of that tunnel, you don't often get a permit. So we designed a system that's able to leverage a proprietary stack of microgrid-based controls, software, and battery storage to do exactly that. We're able to work with very grid-constrained sites with their existing electrical infrastructure and deploy in weeks versus years. And as a company, we really got our start in 2020 during the pandemic, so we're very much a pandemic baby. And it's really just incredible to see how far we've come working alongside some really incredible partners like the Department of Energy, NYSERDA, and Caltech. And so far, some of our notable achievements have been deploying 3 of our pilots with an average install time of 5 days. So we're again talking about single-digit days instead of single-digit years. And in the process, we've also generated significant interest, particularly amongst fleets. These are trucking fleets, dealerships, and government agencies, which are trying to unblock these critical infrastructure challenges. And we closed our very first commercial sale in March with a federal agency. And to support our ramp-up and manufacturing goals, we've also recently closed a $1.7 million manufacturing grant, which has enabled our ability to begin production in an 8,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility. This opportunity landed in our lab through the Newlab Resilient Energy Studio. So this is about a year and a half ago when we had the fortune of participating in this groundbreaking initiative to advance energy storage technologies here in New York City. We heard a little bit about energy storage technologies already today. While some of the key considerations around safety and remain, it remains a very important piece of the puzzle in shaving the very significant peaks that we see, but also allowing for non-wires alternatives to promote fast deployment of critical infrastructure such as EV charging. And so we, over the course of a couple of months, scoped a very impactful pilot together with phenomenal partners. And so where we landed was the opportunity at Floyd Bennett Field. For those of you who don't know Floyd Bennett Field, it was actually New York's very first municipal airport and served as a naval air station to assist in the warfighting efforts in World War II. And today is an expansive recreational area that serves birders, archers, and also people who like to practice their driving because of the very generous lanes. But through the pilot, we worked very closely with Con Edison, Newlab, EDC, but also Jamaica Bay Rockaway Parks Conservancy, which helped facilitate all of the relationship building with NPS. And we also worked alongside our engineering and grid service partners at Leap Energy and Black & Veatch. I'll pass it off to Anurag now to talk about how the pilot went.
Great, thanks, Vince. Scoping and execution of pilot was majorly distributed in 6 different phases. When we got into the program in 2022, we first worked on recognizing what are the key KPIs which we need to hit, and which were deploying really quickly, getting the permits, and then finally delivering energy back to the electrical grid and doing very fast EV charging sessions. The next step was to recognize the site. Deploying energy storage without a system-level certification, 9540, is a tricky job in any jurisdiction. FDNY has very crazy stories, as we just heard in the last presentation. So we chose this site, Floyd Bennett Field, as it was federal land, and we were able to deploy and still work with FDNY to let them know on how exactly the system is safe and the new certifications are coming. We deployed the unit, and then the next step was permitting. There are 2 steps. First, to get a permit for the land use, could be Department of Buildings, and in this case, it was the federal government, which gave us the land use rights for deploying our unit. And second was to work with Con Ed to be able to import and export power to the electrical grid. This permit process went quickly, and we learned a lot. Specifically, sub-metering, are we able to actually sell energy while being a part of somebody else's meter? Then we started building the unit. A shameless plug here, we just moved to a new facility so we can build each of these units in a week now by the end of this year. But this unit took us 16 weeks to build, and we also upgraded it in Detroit, so it was shipped from there. And then we broke ground. There was a big curveball in which we could not keep working on and do a site upgrade during the birding season in the National Park Service. So we had just a 14-day window to actually break ground, install, do the panel, run the conduit. So we could get it done in 14 days. And then we dropped the unit. It is as simple as just using a forklift, drop the unit, and activating it, which is very different than how exactly a charging station or energy storage will be deployed today. The key value proposition is that we work with AC interconnection, 100 amps, 150 amps. So it's very easy to deploy our station and still do very fast charging sessions. With this, we have a short video for you and have the pilot unfolded. So you already saw the footage, but we have two more videos for you. On the right, this is an actual looping shot of the unit, which is deployed just beside the Jamaica Bay. It is a charging desert. For a 4-mile radius, there's no other charging station there. And electrical outages also happened 2 times. While we were deployed, there was an outage during the day. We were able to demonstrate our ability to restore backup energy, and we're also bidding into energy markets. And if you had critical mass of these units deployed, then we can actually get to a place where there's no outages. And the second video is our system recording people coming to see our demonstration. We invited different stakeholders, some fleet operators, EDC, Con Ed, to come see the systems. And of course, there were some hiccups through the pilot. We are still learning. There are multiple different automakers which we need to work with. During the permitting process, we also learned that we couldn't do a sub-meter. And that is a good time to announce our new system. We have some renderings over here as well, but we plan to bring a new system back here, which will be interoperable with most of the vehicles and has 2 charging ports too. But during the key milestones which we achieved over this pilot was first that we could go live in 15 days. Again, this blows off the metrics of any other solution out there. It takes up to 2 years to permit and install a solution. We could do it in 15 days. We can remove in a day. Second, we actually interacted with the grid, delivered up to 308 kilowatt hours of energy into the grid, which is almost powering a home for 300 days. It's consuming a kilowatt hour every day. Also, we reduced the deployment time and cost to $90 per feet. Again, it's around 90% cheaper than how much it will cost you to deploy a DC fast charger right now because of the thick conduit which is required. We also delivered 107 DC fast charging sessions. We have some very happy customers. And we fed into nice electrical grid during 2 critical emergency events. 240 kilowatt hours of energy was put, so we depleted all of our battery during that day in the critical day events. And finally, we also demonstrated backup energy support. We actually simulated an electrical outage on the electrical grid, on a live electrical grid, and were able to power it up and demonstrate backup energy. And that cascaded to us winning the Top Innovator Prize by Department of Homeland Security. We are recognized as a solution which can power critical building loads when there is an outage scenario. We also became the first ever bidirectional DC fast charger to bid into energy markets and generate revenue from it. We generated $2,000 to $3,000 every month during the summer months, and that is a very big milestone for us, as it makes our business much more viable. It's not entirely dependent on EV charging demand. And finally, we are starting to sell our first unit. Vince talked about our commercial pilot. The new system looks like this. It's on our website. It has 2 charging ports. It still works with a 150 amp single phase interconnection. And it has all the container features still, so you can deploy it really quickly, remove it quickly, enables a lot more, many business models. And it has 2 advertisement screens optionally as well. So it fits the urban landscape in New York pretty well. With this, I will come back to questions.